They gave you two options tonight. Save him. Or die with him. You didn't sign up for this. You went to med school to save lives. Innocent lives. You wanted to make your family proud, pay off your loans, maybe retire somewhere quiet. But now you're standing in an underground operating room somewhere outside Culiacan, Mexico, and the man bleeding out in front of you runs half the continent's drug trade. 20 armed men are outside that door. Your family's phone number is in their pocket. And his heart just stopped. What do you do? It started 3 weeks ago. A normal Tuesday. You were finishing a double shift at General Hospital. 12 hours on your feet. Cold coffee. Chart after chart. You were exhausted, but honestly, you loved it. You were good at this. One of the best trauma surgeons in the state. Then a man in a gray suit walked into your office. No appointment. He sat down across from you, put a phone on your desk, your home address was on the screen, and said 4 words. We need your hands. He explained it calmly. Like a business transaction. El Señor, one of the most powerful cartel leaders in North America, had been shot in a rival ambush. His personal doctor was killed in the same attack. They needed a replacement. Someone qualified. Someone who couldn't say no. You tried to say no anyway. He picked the phone back up. Showed you a live feed. Your daughter's school. Your wife at the grocery store. You packed a bag that night. When they brought you to him, he wasn't what you expected. El Señor was in his late 50s. Quiet eyes. Calm despite the 2 bullet wounds in his abdomen. He looked at you the way powerful men always look at people, like you're useful, not human. But you did your job. 12 hours of surgery. You removed both rounds, repaired the intestinal damage, managed the internal bleeding with nothing but what they'd stockpiled in a converted ranch house. No proper OR. No anesthesiologist. Just you, one nurse who barely spoke English, and a patient whose death would probably trigger a war. He lived. And when he opened his eyes, he looked at you differently. Not like you were useful anymore. Like you were valuable. That's when you realized, this wasn't a one-time thing. You were never going home. Days turned into weeks. They gave you a room. Better food than you expected. Satellite TV. A small library. They weren't cruel, not to you. You were an asset. A Ferrari doesn't get left out in the rain. But every morning you woke up and looked out a window with bars on it, and remembered, you are not free. You kept busy. You treated whoever they brought to you, soldiers with gunshot wounds, a lieutenant's kid with appendicitis, one time a local farmer whose son had accidentally been caught in crossfire. That one hit different. You saved him. 9 years old. And for a moment, just a moment, it felt like the job you actually signed up for. El Señor noticed that. He started talking to you during recovery visits. Not interrogating, talking. He told you about growing up poor in Sinaloa. About losing his brother to a rival gang at 16. About how he decided that day he'd never be powerless again. You didn't sympathize. But you understood. And that scared you more than the guns. 3 months in, they come for you at 2 a.m. Not El Señor this time. One of his lieutenants, a man everyone calls La Sombra. The Shadow. He's been shot twice in the chest. He's losing blood fast. And the look in the guard's eyes tells you this one matters. You work. You always work. Because the alternative isn't retirement, it's a shallow grave. But midway through surgery, you find something. Tucked under La Sombra's skin, a small tracking device. DA issue. This man is an informant. He's been feeding information to the feds for months. You stare at it for 10 seconds that feel like 10 years. You have 3 choices. 1. Tell el Señor. La Sombra disappears. The cartel stays intact. You keep your quiet comfortable cage. 2. Remove it quietly. Say nothing. Maybe the DEA raids this place eventually and you go home, or maybe you die in the crossfire. 3. Keep it in. Let the signal transmit. The feds find this compound. Everything burns, including, possibly, you. You look at La Sombra's face. You think about your daughter. You think about the 9-year-old farmer's kid. You think about every decision that brought you to this exact moment. And then you make your choice. Here's the thing nobody talks about when they tell cartel stories. It's never the violence that breaks people. It's the choices. The impossible, soul-crushing, no right answer choices that accumulate like scar tissue until you barely recognize yourself anymore. This story is fictional. But the psychology? The moral weight of being trapped between survival and conscience. That's real. That happens to people. Doctors, engineers, pilots, ordinary people who get caught in extraordinary circumstances and have to decide who they are when the world gives them every excuse to become someone else. So let me ask you. What would you have done with that tracker? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, where we put you in situations most people never have to imagine, subscribe. New video every week. Stay sharp. And stay human.